Hey, beard lovers. Before we get started today, just wanted to let you know that this episode of Bacon and Eggs is brought to you by you. We want to build this thing to be as big as it can be. More episodes, merchandise, events, giveaways, you name it. Well, within reason. But we can't do it alone. If you enjoy this episode or any of our episodes, head over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/baconandeggs. And consider checking out some of the great reward tiers we've got set up over there, or making a donation of any kind. We want to keep this podcast free and available for everyone, so if you have a couple bucks to spare, anything goes a long way. And we could really use your help to make this podcast the best it can possibly be. So thank you for donating, and thank you even more for listening. And subscribe to Wheezy Waiter.
Howdy, yokes, and welcome back to Bacon and Eggs. I'm Tyler Carlin.
And I'm Ethan Edgehill.
And we're coming to you live from Earth.
And the largest moon of Saturn.
So grab your Infinity Gauntlet.
And embarrass your friends in front of the wizards.
Because we've got a special guest today.
For Avengers Infinity War.
Our guest today is none other than Wheezy Waiter himself. You just heard him on the intro, now you're going to hear him again. Welcome to the show, Wheezy. Who are you? What do you do?
Hey, I'm Wheezy Waiter, also Craig Benzine to my parents. I make videos on YouTube. I've been making them for 10 years, and I make explosions happen. I make clones of myself. I talk about the news sometimes. I've kind of done a little bit of every kind of YouTube video you can do besides the bad ones.
On that subject, I wanted to thank you very much for sending your Mute podcast clone last week to do our Avengers predictions. He was great. He really stole the show.
Yeah, he's always the best.
Legitimately, he took my audio files. It was terrifying.
Oh, yeah. He hates audio. He hates it. So he has to get rid of it.
Oh, man. It's so good to have you on here. Thank you for coming and joining us here on Bacon and Eggs. Before we dive into everything, we're just going to run down a little bit of the stats on this movie that we got here, Avengers Infinity War. As you guys know, it was released on April 27th, 2018. That was 5 whole days ago as of recording.
Yeah, and it had a budget. It's actually unclear, but it's somewhere between $300 and $400 million, making it the most expensive movie ever made.
To
really?
clarify that, it's because they're not sure yet exactly how much of the money had been used for this and how much of it is being used to film the next part. It's essentially one giant budget. They're filming them back to back, so it's a little bit up in the air right now.
But this was definitely more expensive than the Pirates of the Caribbean movie, correct?
I believe so. When the chips all finally fall, I think it will be the most expensive movie ever made.
Whoa. I didn't know that. I had no idea. That makes sense, thoa Makes a lot of sense. A lot of star power.
At least $300 million.
Yeah, I mean, Paul Bettany alone has got to cost, what, $125 million?
Yes.
I think you're overinflating Paul Bettany a little bit.
It's as if Marvel didn't want to screw up this movie. Weird.
It really
is.
They
kind of gave it the whole thing, and it worked because this is the biggest movie ever made already. It's the biggest opening weekend of all time.
Yeah. It destroyed it's so far. I guess now it's over, but $257.6 million domestic opening weekend, which beat The Force Awakens, and it also did, I think, 637 worldwide.
637 worldwide. It had the second best Friday ever behind The Force Awakens, the best Saturday ever, and the best Sunday ever. And I think it made like $80 million today when I checked at like 5 o'clock.
And it
just
did
domestic.
not yet release in China, which is the money.
Still hasn't come out in China.
So that's amazing.
Well, somebody's getting real rich off this. That's great.
Yeah, we're talking about a heavy hitter here.
Yeah.
Did people like it?
People really liked it. Critics are sort of a mixed bag. I got an 84% critic rating and a 92% audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes so far. I think we're going to see the audience number raise and the critic number drop as time goes.
Really? Why do you think the critic number is going to drop?
Well, it opened at 90, which is already an indication that there are issues with it, and I think that there is a specific plot point that is going to eat it alive that we'll get to when we get to the spoiler section of the review. But I don't know. I feel like this is one of those movies where it's so big and it's so exciting and everybody's so excited about it.
There's going to be people that hate it just to hate it, and they're going to write articles about why they hate it just to hate it.
And we can actually reflect that. We have a negative review that Ethan can read up here in just a minute that I think is part of the reason why critics are going to be able to come down on it, and they just want to hate it, but I think it was excellent, and I would have rated it higher than 84 or 92.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that critics don't like it more.
Granted, this is a Rotten Tomatoes score, so it's not a perfect metric by any means of what critics actually thought of it. It's essentially saying that 84% of critics gave it a favorable review, so that could be anything 6 or better.
Right, and that could mean that 84% of critics gave it a perfect 10, but we don't know that.
Right.
Yeah. Unless you read all the reviews.
which is time consuming because there are several hundred listed on Rotten Tomatoes.
And we're too busy making podcasts.
Right. Correct.
It's true.
Yes.
Oh, and by the way, got a 68 on Metacritic, which is generally just harsh on all movies that aren't Citizen Kane. So
Yeah. I'm not sure why we include that metric, but I think it's important.
I just did it the first week, and we haven't stopped.
We're going to keep doing it.
It's just remained on the script.
So, Ethan, do you have a positive review for this movie? There's a bunch of them out there. Or a negative review, I'm sorry.
I have a negative review for this movie, real quick. And this is a review that kind of went viral after the movie came out. It's a little snippet from Richard Brody of The New Yorker, and he says, Avengers Infinity War would make little sense in the absence of its pack of predecessors. Its characters aren't introduced, they just show up, and their behavior is entirely defined by the template set for them in other movies. Not only does Avengers Infinity War presume that viewers have seen all the preceding films in the Marvel series, but worse, it presumes that they've thought about them afterward. And to Richard Brody, I would like to ask a simple question. Bruh, have you ever seen a sequel to anything?
Also, have you ever thought about a character after you saw a movie?
Yeah, especially with like a group of memorable characters like this. Here's what I think happened to Richard Brody is he went into the theater and he was like, you know what? I bet they don't introduce the characters extremely well. And I bet that if you haven't seen all the other movies, this is going to be kind of hard to follow, even though he's seen them all, right?
Yeah.
He's placing that in his mind. He's already written the review before it started, is how this reads to me.
Well, I think he should. I feel like that is maybe the. I'm normally pretty critical, and I don't normally love a movie as much as I am going to love this movie throughout this podcast. but I think the only criticism I could possibly give this movie is that it relies a lot on the previous movies. But I don't even think that's a criticism. I mean, that's just what this movie is, you know?
Right. I think, if anything, that's a call for praise, is that, like, the characters have carried so well from their individual worlds, and now when they interact, all of their motivations and everything pretty much remain the same.
Yeah.
And
characters showing up without having to explain who they are, I think is a good thing. I think that allows you to just, like, jump right into the action. Keeps the pace going.
It doesn't introduce them, but it gives you enough of a story that you can follow it regardless.
Yeah, I mean,
right, Captain America grew a beard.
I guess I would have to talk to someone who hasn't seen any Marvel movie, who's been living in a bubble, who knows nothing about this, who watched it.
Here's my thing, and I was just thinking about this, is it's no different than Star Wars A New Hope, in that it starts with a scene of a spaceship under fire and goes from there.
Yeah, could see that.
And you get the characters, you get the introduction through the conflict.
That's true. I mean, I guess you do spend a little more time with Luke learning who he is.
Oh, for sure. But it's like, there's been 18 movies. It's been 10 years. Like, one of these movies has come out every 6 months or less for the last 10 years. I guess what Mr. Brody wanted was just for John Terry to come in and be like, previously on Lost.
Yeah. I mean, I assume, I don't know because I've seen all the movies, but it seems to me that you could enjoy this movie if you've not seen all the other movies. I think the actual conflict within the movie, the main conflict of the Infinity Stones, is explained very well by Doctor Strange in the movie.
Yeah, it definitely has this exposition moment. And like, my wife has only seen a handful of the Marvel films, and she gets, proximity knowledge from being around me, but she went into it and she's seen maybe like Guardians 1, maybe one other. And she loved it. She thought it was really good.
Yeah. I mean, it's got hilarious moments that if you don't understand the context, they're still funny.
And if you want to get the whole thing, you need to have seen pretty much all of Phase 3 of Marvel, the movies that came out after Age of Ultron. You need to have seen Black Panther, the second Guardians movie. You need to have seen Ragnarok. But it's like, you can get it without it. It's not a huge deal. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
It's still a movie. Like, I don't know. It's no different than any other sequel.
Well, and it's even like Spider-Man Homecoming didn't have like an origin story. I mean, you get to learn about Peter and the crap that he goes through on a day-to-day basis, but there wasn't like a...
How did you become Spider-Man? Right. Anything like that, yeah.
Yeah, I guess we don't agree with this guy.
No.
Yeah, no. I guess that's what I'm hearing.
That was the whole reason I brought up this negative review, this specific one, is to call this dude out for this statement in specific. It's like, it's a sequel. It's a sequel to 18 movies.
Yeah, I guess I assumed this is what most of the negative reviews would sound like, is that they're kind of talking about how it relies on previous movies. And maybe they're just going into it with the baggage that it's just a big budget, full blown, the next comic book movie, another comic book movie. Like, and maybe they're sick of them,
You know what's crazy is I don't even a little bit have that frustration with going to the movie theater. Like, I am more excited for the new comic book movies than I've ever been.
Well, I'm more excited for the new Marvel movies in particular. Maybe not all comic book movies, but
we should probably clarify that. Those DC movies suck.
And the MCU even had its moments where it was kind of like the dark days, and they were a little bit of a slog, in the 2012 to 2015 type era, and they were all just kind of dark. And the Guardians of the Galaxy came out, and it was all a little bit different, and it's just been fun since then.
Yeah. Well, this movie is very dark, but
yes. This movie is not a playful romp through Marvel, but
well, I guess a bunch of it is, but then it really blindsides you, and that actually made it so. That's what made it so good for me. But.
Is the ending, and we will certainly get to the ending. I imagine pretty soon after we're off the chains with the spoilers. We are going to do a part of this spoiler free and kind of talk about the movie, what we thought about it as a movie, what we did like about it, what we didn't like about it, and then we'll get into the actual meat and potatoes of the whole thing, which is...
You mean the bacon and eggs of the whole thing?
Yeah, the bacon and eggs of the whole thing.
I can make that joke because I'm not a part of this podcast all the time. So
you totally can.
Okay.
You can make that joke whenever you want.
I'm going to make it 4 more times in this podcast.
I had just never... had never even crossed my mind to say that.
I've been thinking about the best way to turn meat and potatoes into bacon and eggs since we started this thing.
I think there's your answer right staring you in the face is just to go for it.
Right, just do it, right? So real quick with our positive review, this is the top positive review on Rotten Tomatoes. It's from James Crute, like I am Groot, but with a C.
Yeah.
He works for stuff.co.nz, which I guess is New Zealand.
One would think.
So I'm not gonna do a haka or anything through this, but or even an accent. This is just gonna be an American accent.
You don't want to read it in a Korg voice,
right? But he says it's a 2.5-hour thrill ride with plenty of action, laughs, and potential for tearing up. Directing duo Anthony and Joe Russo have done an amazing job of shoehorning Marvel's myriad of superheroes into a coherent tale. 4.5 out of 5.
Yeah, I would. I agree with everything he said except the 4.5. I'd give it a 5. But
yeah, it's so good.
That's the thing. Is like 4.5 seems like you're leaving room for something.
Yeah.
What are you leaving room for? What?
Yeah, particularly like the fact that he said they were able to weave together this, whatever the quote was from the review, this giant tale. I am shocked at how well they pulled it together. I'm so shocked at how well they took all those characters and made it work. That is a hard job.
I was fully prepared for this movie to suck. Mm-hmm. I was not looking forward to it. I wasn't, expecting it, but I was prepared for me to go in there and be like, eh.
Now, I want to ask a follow-up question to that, Ethan. Did you go in, because I very intentionally went in with a certain set of expectations, not about the content or anything, but like of how good do I think this is going to be? And I went in personally with the highest expectations. Like, I am going to be ultra critical. I think this is going to be amazing, and if it's not, I'm going to be very upset. Did you have the same experience, or did you go in with low expectations? Like, I don't know, it might suck. Who knows?
I just kind of went in nervous, because I didn't know what was going to happen, and we made predictions on the show, and I was wrong.
We were way wrong.
Ooh, Nelly, I was wrong. And I think everyone was. Nobody saw this movie coming.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and if you did, you're probably lying. Like, you could have gotten part of it. There's no way you got all of it.
Yeah. I think I went into it with pretty high expectations because I saw it on, I think, Saturday. So I already saw kind of how the reviews were and some hype on Twitter and stuff, and I liked the trailer. I watched the trailer and I was pretty excited. Like, I liked the first, particularly the first Avengers. I liked a lot. Second one I liked a little less, but I still liked it. So I expected it to be at least as good as that, and that was pretty darn good. So I went into it with kind of high expectations, and it surpassed them by hugely surpassed them, and I think. Also, yeah, I don't think you could predict how everything went down. Like, I feel like the way that story went, I've not seen ever in a comic book movie or any kind of standard Hollywood, story.
And that's the great thing about it is, it's like, yes, they're saying that the next one that comes out, Avengers 4, is not Infinity War Part 2, but this is half a movie.
I disagree. I disagree that this is half a movie.
Well, it ends on it's a solid Part 1 to another story, I guess what it comes to. Because it doesn't really end.
Well, I can't really say without getting into spoilers what I think.
Yeah, I know. I keep dragging us to this point that we need to not be at. But the fact of it is, these movies have just been getting better and better over the years. I mean, we rank all of our movies on the show, and we've ranked all the Marvel movies, and I mean, 4 of our top 5 were made after 2016 or 2016 and later.
What were your top 5?
Our top 5 right now on the show are Thor Ragnarok, Black Panther, Iron Man, Spider-Man Homecoming, and Civil War, in that order. Top 5 Marvel movies.
Okay.
So that kind of gives you a
Guardians
baseline of what you're
kind of-
playing with as far as what we've decided are good Marvel movies.
Yeah. Wait, did you not mention Guardians?
Guardians is the next on that list.
Okay.
So number
See,
6.
I would put it for sure above Spider-Man and Civil War for me personally. Maybe even Winter Soldier. I think I liked better than Civil War.
A lot of people do. That was definitely when we rated Winter Soldier pretty low, actually, and that was a huge bone of contention amongst our fans and the Marvel crowd in general. As there was a lot of people that were like, "Are you serious?"
Yeah, I really liked Winter Soldier. I like it. That one surprised me probably the most out of besides Infinity War, I guess. But
yeah, Infinity War, it just doesn't make any sense. And on the Winter Soldier thing, to me, it's kind of like Hamilton. Like I understand, I comprehend that everybody loves it. I do not know why. I cannot figure it out.
I actually only saw it once when it was in the theater, so it's been a while. But from what I remember, like the second, third act especially the third act, but like the second act, it starts to become this really cool action movie that had nothing to do with superheroes to me. It felt like it was just this really well done action movie,
and that's what a lot of people say about it. Is it's almost like a Bond movie.
Yeah, and but I was fully into. Like I did not care that the superhero aspect of it kind of went away, and also the conflict at the end. Actually, the conflict at the end was very similar to Infinity War. The idea behind what Thanos is plotting and everything. But I don't want to get into spoilers. So
as far as Winter Soldier goes, I mean, I can tell you straight up that I was just not, especially when I watched it this time, I was not sold on Bucky Barnes. I was not sold on the relationship between Steve and Bucky, and I know that I'm totally alone in that. I get that. I get that. Like, I am acknowledging the fact that people live and die for Sebastian Stan and Bucky Barnes, and go on Tumblr sometime. It's a terrifying place filled with Steve and Bucky drawings and stories that I don't ever want to look at again. But
You talking about Stucky?
yeah, I'm talking about some Stucky.
see that aspect of it, like I don't even really remember. Like Captain America and Bucky to me aren't my favorite by far, like of any of the Avengers. But I don't know, for some reason that plot just really worked for me.
No, for sure, and it works for a lot of people. A lot of people, like most people, I would say, have it in their top 3, if not their number 1 Marvel movie. And I don't know.
So just to kind of shift a little bit back to the expectations point.
Oh yeah, that's how I got started on this. Is I was saying you gotta have high expectations for it because the last few have been so good.
Right. And to me, the only comparison I can imagine to this movie, and I've said this a few times on Twitter, and I've seen it from a lot of people who share my interests, is that this was like Empire Strikes Back. Only we get to experience it.
I said the same thing. I said the same thing to my wife. I said it's the Empire Strikes Back of the series. Like it blows your mind in that way. I guess if you don't know what happens in Empire Strikes Back before you see it, like
right.
Yeah.
Right, and it's like I walked out of the theater thinking, one day I'll have kids, and I'll get the joy of showing my kids this movie.
I felt the same way. It was like, man, future generations are going to look at that one and say, holy crap, man.
That one's good.
I feel like reviews, like the way it's being reviewed now, it's pretty high, it's positive, but I think it's going to grow over time. I think history is going to look back on this movie as like a very important one.
I will refrain on commenting on that until I see number 4, Avengers 4.
I can't imagine it being better. Can't imagine.
But mostly what I mean is this going to be made better or worse by the sequel?
Oh,
is
yeah,
the sequel going to help? Well, because whether or not they want to say it's going to be a part 2, like it is going to be a direct sequel to this movie, and there's several movies that come between it, but it is going to be a direct sequel to this movie.
There are things that will happen in the 4th one that I'm sure will kind of negate or make less powerful the things that happen in this one. But to me, it doesn't matter. Again, to get back, I do think it's a complete movie, but I don't want to explain why until we get into spoilers. But I think it's for other reasons besides those key plot elements that happen at the end of the movie.
Well, I tell you what, we're getting right to the point in our recording where I think we can open up the spoiler section. So what I want to do to introduce that, well, first I need to know, would you recommend this movie to a friend who has not yet seen it?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you think this is a good jumping off point for somebody who's never seen a single Marvel movie?
I think it would be okay. I
think they'd be fine, yeah.
Yeah. I think they would enjoy it more if they had seen other Marvel movies.
Oh, for
I
sure.
don't know, they might sob less.
Yes.
Swoop. Perfect. We're now in Spoilerville.
Okay.
So what I want to do to introduce the spoiler section is just for each of us to take a few seconds and just react to the end of the movie as though we were still sitting in the theater and there wasn't a bunch of families around us and we could have said whatever we were really feeling and just get it out.
Oh, I'll tell you straight up. There was a family sitting next to me, and they had an older child. I literally looked at the group of people I was with and just said, "The f*** was that? What the f*** just happened? Did I just watch Spider-Man die with my own eyes?"
Right.
I was by myself. I saw the movie by myself. For this podcast, actually, because I have a baby and I couldn't go with my family because we have a newborn, pretty much.
Right.
So, my thoughts were, oh my God, my heart. Basically.
How could they do this?
Like, it was this sinking, deep dread in my gut. Like, that's pretty much it. And I loved it.
It was the exact same for me. I was like, what the...
I was like, it's not over.
Right.
It's not. There's no way it's over. There's no possible way this movie is
Right.
over right
Possibly
now.
be over.
Right.
And then literally it was like, do you remember in middle school when that like first girlfriend broke up with you and like your heart sank for like a week straight?
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm still there.
and I watched
Yeah.
the world's
I'm still
longest
there.
credits. The world's longest credits, sitting there waiting for the end credit scene.
Plus, I really had to go to the bathroom. So, that was...
Same, because
That
I
was
just
part
sat
of
for 2.5 hours. That went by
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
I think that was the shortest movie I've ever watched.
And then the post-credit scene was also... It made you feel even worse.
We around here at Bacon and Eggs dislike Maria Hill, so I felt
Oh,
okay
yeah,
about
so
that.
that was an awesome moment.
Okay, all right. Why do you dislike Maria Hill?
Oh, she just didn't add anything to Avengers 1 whatsoever. She was
Yeah,
just
that's-
there.
True. I could see that. I mean, I guess I don't see how anyone could be a huge fan, but to me she was just so minor that it didn't matter. But yeah, I get you.
But that's the thing, is like everything about that movie mattered.
Yeah.
Oh,
So you were glad that ending was made you happy?
A little bit.
Well, I didn't want Nick Fury
I didn't want Nick Fury to die. And I didn't get it because I had no idea what the Captain Marvel logo looked like because I'm a bad podcaster.
Oh, no, I
And
didn't get it either.
I was just like, oh, okay, so he called Captain America, who's still there.
Yeah.
I was sitting next to Derek Knabenbauer, who has been on this show and is a big comic book reader, and he was just like, yeah! As soon as the Captain Marvel logo showed up on the screen, and I was like, okay, I guess that's a good thing.
I was with my band. We actually were on tour, and we saw this like as a group before we went and played a show. And the singer in my band is a huge Spider-Man fan. He carries around like a Spider-Man wallet. He has a Spider-Man blanket, and is just super into Spider-Man. I just kind of looked at him, and he was just sitting there staring at the screen, not
Oh my
looking
God.
at anywhere else.
So that symbol at the end, I didn't know what it was, but I knew that it was something. It meant something that I didn't know, and I was like, oh, cool, I'm gonna look that up later. But the Spider-Man, the death scene.
He improvised that scene. Tom Holland did not have a script for that scene. Joel Russo looked at him and said, okay, your motivation here is Spider-Man. Peter Parker does not want to die. That's it.
That was the most heart-wrenching scene of any Marvel movie I've ever seen.
There was no line there. The Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good, I don't want to go, was just him.
And he was like,
do you feel like they were sitting there? And this is the reason I don't make movie trailers. I feel like if I was making the movie trailer for this movie, I would have gotten to that part and I would have been like, we've got to use that. Just that line of dialogue.
Which
Mr.
line?
Stark, I don't feel so
Oh.
the Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good.
oh, yeah, I could see that. But that might be getting too close to spoiler, but not really, I guess.
I'm glad they didn't.
I hate trailers. I'll be honest.
Well, it also
with you
kind of
guys.
depends on the tone of the trailer. The trailer was much more about look at all the characters that are in this, and here's some funny parts, basically.
Right, and I thought the trailers for this movie were great because they didn't give anything away.
Right, they were great.
Like, nothing you didn't
Well, that
already
was
know.
actually
Like, you
one-
know Thanos is going to be in it. You know he's going to be the villain. You know everybody else is going to be there. And that's all the trailer told you, was like, hey, by the way, here's a date for it.
Well, and they also did a really good job, and this is something we actually got right in our predictions podcast, was that Disney loves to do this thing where they'll show you a scene in the trailer, but it's like displaced from where it actually is in the movie, or it just isn't in the movie.
Yeah.
Like that popular shot from the trailer where they're all running and Hulk is in there, like that didn't happen.
Oh,
and
yeah, that Disney misdirect.
yeah, they do that a lot. Like, there's a really popular one from Thor Ragnarok where Hela breaks the hammer. It's like in a city, like in the middle of like a city block or a city alleyway or something. But when it gets to the movie, obviously it's in a field in Norway.
Huh.
So I don't know, just something to point out there.
That is interesting. Lots and lots of people supposedly die at the end of this movie.
A lot of people are saying the cornflake people aren't really dead.
And I think I believe that, because if you look at what movies are coming out,
right, and that's what I hate about the whole Marvel thing is, like, they give too much away with the releases and the release dates, and like, there's more movies coming out, and like.
Well, I was gonna go back to why I think this movie still, regardless of how it ends, how it feels like it's incomplete in some way. It still feels like a full movie to me. Like, yeah, these people get whisked away in their cornflake way that they get whisked away, and then they we're sort of kind of left to assume that they're gone forever. So Thanos eliminated half the universe.
50% of the universe.
Yeah.
With the snap of his fingers.
Yeah. Probably in the next movie, a lot of them are going to come back, and so maybe at the end. I don't know. But regardless, to me, it's still a great standalone movie. In the end, you feel this terrible dread, and most comic book movies don't end that way, or most movies in general don't end that way. And so it makes you think that there's going to be more. But I think the main character of this movie is Thanos. And it's like his story arc is the arc of the movie.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I feel like that is a complete story. I feel like he just was trying to do a thing, and he suffered the consequences. He had to kill something he loved. And then in the end, he did it. And then he sits down and he looks at the sunrise or sunset, and he smiles. And that's the end of the movie. And I feel like this is just a complete story all about Thanos.
And I think Marvel has we know that there's upcoming movies, and we know that, like, more likely than not, they're not going to replace all these characters with their, like, descendants, quote unquote. Like, yeah, they've introduced Miles Morales as Donald Glover's nephew, and they've introduced Wong as Doctor Strange's, next person, and they've introduced all sorts of characters that can be the Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, that's just sort of the name of a team of just people that are out there. Mm-hmm. They've got all these introductions made, but I think what Marvel has an opportunity to do here is not only, like, even if they do come back in the next movie, we have to go through a year of our lives where they're dead.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, a year of our lives and 2 other movies.
Yeah.
And 2 other movies.
I love it. I love it.
And I think what Marvel can do is they can turn the knife, right? I think what they can do is they can release the next Avengers movie where it's the classic Avengers against Thanos, and they kill Thanos, and at the end of that movie, everybody is not brought back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it can happen further down the line than that, to me.
That would be a cool switcheroo or like way to mess with people.
Right, and that's the stabbing feeling I want.
Yeah, I would love for them to extend it as much as they could.
Right, it's to go through a whole nother year of Marvel where T'Challa is still dead.
Yeah, but there's no way that they're gonna permanently kill Spider-Man. Or Black Panther.
Or Black Panther, yeah, either of them.
Yeah.
Like, you can get away with Scarlet Witch being dead, you can get away with Doctor Strange being dead, you can get away with plenty of them being dead. You're not going to kill T'Challa permanently, you're not going to kill Spider-Man permanently, just, like, that's just bad business.
But you know who they could kill permanently? I saw a theory about how the 4th movie could be about this, where the core Avengers basically save everybody, but in order to save them, they all die.
At the cost of their own lives, yeah.
Yeah, and they could have.
You got to think that's what's coming next.
Yeah, and that makes sense because they've already milked those characters as much as they could.
At the very least, for Tony Stark and for Nebula.
Yeah.
You got to think
from the comic perspective.
And especially from Tony hitting so hard on that "we don't trade lives" thing.
Yeah, makes sense.
Well, and Steve hit on that as well. With the we're not going to kill Vision,
right?
Even though, like, there were so many opportunities in this movie. Like, a lot of people come back to that Star-Lord point where it's like they almost had the glove off, and then Peter starts hitting him because he killed Gamora. But Vision is a computer. You should have killed him right away if you knew that was an option.
Right. But could he have turned back time anyway?
I don't know. I don't know how far back the time stone works.
Yeah, I don't either, but I mean, I guess I would assume maybe he could have. I feel like at that point he was so powerful. He's
got the reality stone, he's got the power stone, he's got the time stone, and he's got the mind stone.
Yeah.
Right. No, the soul stone, not the mind stone. He needed the mind stone.
I think maybe he could have turned back time anyway. But then again, I don't know. But I guess apparently he could have been killed because he said to Thor, "You should have gone for my head." That was another close call.
Oh man, there was a little kid sitting in front of me, maybe 8 years old, who as soon as the movie ends, he goes, "Even I know to aim for the head."
That kid plays enough Borderlands.
Exactly. I'm like,
that's a little disturbing.
That kid's playing some Fortnite. Some Call of Duty, something like that he knows, but that was hilarious to me. I want to propose something to you guys here real quick. Give me one reason why Thanos is not the greatest Marvel villain ever on screen.
I can't.
Yeah, I think I could come to defend Loki or Ego or Killmonger. I think those are your three options.
I would say Killmonger is the only competitor because he's the only other one where you really feel for the guy.
Oh, yeah. I think Killmonger was the trial run for Thanos.
Yeah. It's like, can we make these guys believe the villain?
Yeah. I think Thanos, to me, he's hands down the best, and maybe he's one of the best villains of all time, of anything. And I think it's partially because this movie, to me, is a story all about him. It's completely devoted to him. And we are put. It's like we're almost put into his perspective the whole movie. Like he's justifying the whole movie is like trying to justify what he's doing, basically.
Well, and it works is the thing because it plays into such a basic human fear of, and they're constantly telling us that we're running out of ozone, like we're using up the fossil fuels, we're exhausting our resources on this planet. And that is a very realistic human fear that people all over the world have and that they're playing on here. That Thanos is concerned about the fate of the galaxy. He's trying to help the universe survive.
In his eyes, he's trying to help, but in the process, he's also...
He's murdering half the universe.
Yeah, being terrible, like any ruthless dictator.
Right, but he's convincing about it. You sit there and you think about it and you're just kind of like, I get that I'm supposed to disagree. I know that. But they're making it hard.
Yeah, and that's why he's such a good villain.
And they did have a couple, like, just a reminder, this guy's a bad guy moments. And I think the first of which is that he did not have to kill Heimdall or Loki.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason for that. He's already decimated half of Asgard.
No, he's still a murderer.
So
well, I think...
Right, he's still just a cold-blooded murderer.
I do think he had more reason than just killing Loki. Like, I feel like Loki was a threat, kind of. Like, he felt like he could trick him at some point.
Well, I think he clearly knew that maybe outside of Thor, that Loki was his biggest threat.
Yeah.
Because clearly we see that Thor is his biggest threat.
Yeah.
That's one of my... I'm just going to piggyback off of that. That's one of my favorite things about this movie is that they didn't nerf any of the characters or make it seem like, Captain America was as strong as Thor. They were like, Thor is an actual god, is by far the most valuable member of this team, and, like, could kill Thanos.
Right, because Thor used to be an even match with some of them back when he was learning. He first got the hammer. He didn't have the power. And then he had the hammer but not the power. And now he has the power and the axe.
Yeah, and he just didn't go for the head.
Yeah, because he's Thor.
He should have gone for the arm.
But that's what a testament to how good this movie is. Like, he didn't go for the head. They barely didn't get the gauntlet off. And I think about that still. Like, after watching the movie, I'm like, they would have just got that gauntlet. Oh!
Right. And you can totally just write it off as being like, oh, that's a plot device. That's how movies work. Yeah. But it's like it makes you believe it.
I mean, this was 10 years leading up to this, and I was gritting my teeth. I was like, oh, get it!
And what's great is that, like, it shows that you can get the gauntlet off. That it's not glued to his hand, Because I was sort of under the impression watching it that, like, once they started trying to pull the gauntlet off, there would be like, okay, it doesn't come off. Kind of moment.
Yeah.
And to me, what that shows is like, you can get it off if you hold him down.
Yeah, but only certain people can wield it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, who knows what would have happened after they got it off. But still, like, it was one of the most frustrating moments I've ever had watching a movie. I'm still frustrated.
So what's your take on the Star-Lord thing? Because that's like
that's the hot button issue here.
That's the tweet that comes out. It's Star-Lord's fault, or Andy Dwyer killed the Avengers, or.
Well, I think it's it's kind of true that his passion is what caused him to fail, but it's also the same woman, the passion that Thanos has, that allowed that to happen. He's the one who killed her.
Right.
And I don't know. It's all tied into me, but with like the story arc of Thanos, because he had to kill her to get the Soul Stone in the first place. So I don't blame Andy Dwyer. I guess I still think it's all on Thanos.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I also think that wasn't the only moment where they could have killed Thanos. Like, Thor has a reasonable moment there towards the end. Scarlet Witch is strong enough to have killed Thanos if the comics are to be believed.
Well, I'm missing something here because I'm pretty sure that Thanos beat the living crap out of everybody without the stone. Like, yeah, they get the gauntlet off, and he just gets it back. Like, I don't think Star-Lord doing anything changes anything.
It's possible,
I mean,
although he beat the crap out of Hulk with the gauntlet on, though, right?
Right,
but
but
the
like,
gauntlet
you can
was
tell
just-
when he's using the stones.
The gauntlet, he wasn't using the stones. The gauntlet was just a glove. And yeah, I mean, a metal glove is going to hurt more than a fist, but Hulk is
what
negligible.
were the stones? What were the stones on the glove? Which stones were they?
When he hit...
At that moment, it was power and mind, I guess. No, not mind.
No.
What is the Tesseract? Oh no, he didn't have the Tesseract yet. That was just
Yeah,
power.
that was-
Well, power is power.
he
I
wasn't
feel like
using it.
how do you know that? I mean, it seems like
Because
power
when he-
would give him strength.
Am I wrong that when he uses the stones, they glow that color?
I mean, it might be like a.
I mean, I don't know this for sure, obviously. Like, I have no idea, but...
Right, it might be like while you're wearing the glove with the power stone, you are just
Right.
inherently more powerful.
But I can't
That's kind of what I assumed.
I can't believe that he wouldn't be able to just get the glove back and finish the job. Like, there's got to be a different
Possible.
way to beat him.
It's possible, but I mean, I guess that was the only hope at that point.
Oh, for
So,
sure.
Yeah.
I'm just coming to Star-Lord's defense in that, like, I don't necessarily think that would have changed anything.
Maybe not.
Well, you got to think about like what powers does moving forward are the heroes that are going to be introduced. Like, what powers do they have that we haven't already seen?
Mm-hmm.
Like Thor's still there, obviously, as well as the OG Avengers. But then there's also going to be the powers of
Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel, Ant-Man, Hawkeye. Like, what are they going to bring to the table that isn't already there?
As far as I understand, Captain Marvel's very powerful, but Ant-Man and Hawkeye maybe not as much. But I mean,
I think there's a real chance that Ant-Man is going to get some insane power in this movie he's got coming out, but I don't know.
but also, I mean, I guess he doesn't necessarily. He's powerful in a different way. He could get. Yeah.
I saw one tweet that was just, and this was great. This made me laugh a lot. It was like, man, if Scott Lang was there, he could have just shrunk up real small, climbed inside Thanos' ear, and then gotten real big and exploded his head.
Yeah, like that.
I think likely what would happen in that situation is that Scott Lang would just explode.
Probably, but
against
Thanos'
skull.
I feel like Scott Lang would be okay with that.
No, I mean, I think he would. I think you mean he would explode
and
without
not
killing him
burst the skull.
Right.
because he's got the power stone.
Who
Right.
knows? I just that one made me laugh out loud.
Yeah,
It was
that's a
like,
good one.
Y'all screwed up not getting Scott Lang in this. Which and I
Has-
thought that was kind of a cop out with not having him in there.
I wonder how powerful Thanos is without the power stone, though. That's a good question.
He's a tough dude, but I think he is a bit of a glass cannon. Like, if it teaches us anything, he's a tough glass cannon. But Tony Stark built that suit in a cave with a box of scraps.
Yeah.
And he made Thanos bleed. Like, Thanos can bleed.
Yeah.
So I think if Thor
Yeah,
stabs
Thor put a
him.
hole in his chest.
Yeah.
Right. So I think if you get a hero Thor caliber or stronger, I
Yeah.
think you've got a fair fight for Thanos.
What's the state of the gauntlet now and the stones now? Like they're
The gauntlet
There-
looked pretty up when they finished that movie.
yeah.
Like it seems like they did a number on it. So
Yeah.
I don't think we've seen the last of Peter Dinklage.
Oh, you think he's gonna go back and fix it?
Well, he made it originally. Atri made it originally, right? Like that was the
Yeah.
So I don't know if I don't know if Thanos is gonna go fix it. I wouldn't put it past somebody else going and building a new one
That makes.
to unf up reality.
Yeah. Yeah, there's going to be some way that they're going to have to reverse things.
Right.
Which is kind of disappointing to me. After I saw the movie and I felt this horrible dread, and I'm like, wow, Marvel they had the balls. They had to just go to take this really far and make it really dark. And then I read about how the movies that are coming out and how the people who get whisked away at the end are probably not dead. And I was like,
Right, and there's definitely open doors for them to come back. Like
yeah. Do you think Gamora's coming back?
I think Gamora is the question mark.
Yeah, I think Gamora's the
Yeah.
question mark.
I
I
think
would say
Loki's dead. Probably.
Loki's pretty well dead. I think
Yeah.
Loki doesn't mind being dead.
Yeah.
Well, he's faked his death before, though, so that they've always got that door open. If Tom Hiddleston's like, you know what,
But even Thor was.
I could use some work.
Even Thor was like, he's been dead before. This has happened, but I
Yeah.
don't know about this time.
Yeah.
Like,
Good
he's-
accent, by the way.
He's pretty freaking dead. Yeah,
What'd you think of
Gamora's the question mark.
What'd you think of the interactions between Quill and Thor?
Oh yeah, I guess I liked the interactions between everyone, pretty much. But like, Quill and Thor it was hilarious. I loved it.
Yeah, that's that was the one thing that I thought the movie did. Well, it did so many things amazingly well. Like the Russo brothers are geniuses, but like
they kept.
I was
new
laughing.
Thor is the thing.
Oh yeah,
new Thor was a smart move.
Absolutely. Ragnarok Thor. Yeah.
Yeah, not Dark World Thor. Thor that has been the lone wolf that went and searched for Infinity Stones for 2 years in the galaxy, didn't find any, and has been through that whole trial and tribulation on Planet Hulk. What is it called? Sakaar.
That doesn't even sound familiar to me.
No. No, it doesn't. I love that movie. I've seen that movie like 6 times.
And you didn't remember.
And I didn't remember. Yeah. No, it's not a memorable name apparently.
Yeah. I've only seen it once, but I loved it. It was great.
But yeah, so we've got the Thor that went through that whole thing, and his interaction with Peter and with the Guardians, especially Rocket, cracked me up. It was great comic relief in a very, very heavy movie.
Well, most Marvel movies do this well, but this movie just like throughout, it was like every scene up until like towards the end where it got really dreadful was like a balancing act of hilarious and exposition and every character having their moment like equally represented and somehow they made that all work.
Yeah, every character was able to shine in their own individual way here.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's one character that we're gonna have to talk about, and the way that they gave him his moment, what I thought was just brilliant, because he had a lot of serious moments in this movie, but when he looks at Stark and he says whatever he says and then calls him a that's when Doctor Strange gets to do, like, because look at Doctor Strange, you know, he is a
yeah, right? Totally, they both
like,
are.
He's a total shirt head, right? But you know, you kind of forget that because he's got all these serious moments, and he's the one with the time stone and you know all that stuff. So when he said, that's when I knew they were keeping it true to the real character.
Well, so a lot of characters gave their best performance in the series in this movie. Like I think Doctor Strange did. This is the best Tony we've seen in a long time.
Yeah. They apparently, well, if you look at the writing credits, there are like 14 writing credits for this movie because they consulted the writers of the previous movies for each character's moments.
Well,
apparently.
that's cool.
Yeah. And they nailed somehow this. I've written scripts before. I've written scripts for for pilots of web series or short films, and I'm pulling my hair out with a script that's just like 4 or 5 characters and it's like 7 pages long, and I'm trying to make it all make sense but not be boring and have all the exposition there but not too much and like every character, all the story arcs work, and like they did this with like so many characters,
scripts
with
and
everything on the line.
Are just fascinating. I've recently gotten weirdly into reading scripts, like in the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I was actually thinking about this because I was listening to your episode of Movied on the way home about Steven Soderbergh.
Oh, by the way, I'm in a podcast called Movied with my friend Jake. We talk
great.
about movies.
You guys should definitely listen to it. Everyone should definitely listen to it. It's awesome. They talk about movies. Yeah. And so I was listening to your episode about that, and I just recently read the entire script for Ocean's 11. And reading that script, I'm like, man, I could make this movie. Like, I could 100% shoot this movie right now.
Yeah.
Because it's just such a fascinating thing that how it comes together to make the movie.
And I mean, you want to talk about a film that brings so many great characters together.
Yeah.
Ocean's 11 was ambitious and amazing.
Yeah, and it was ambitious, but are you saying that the script was so good that you could shoot the movie?
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Is like I read the script. I'm like, I can 100% see how this movie came together.
Right. What was the line you read? It was like, Rusty looks at the table.
Rusty
water.
looks at the poker table. There's a bottle of water on a poker table. Written in the script as like a direction for how Rusty looks at the poker table.
Yeah, that's hilarious. I feel like, well, I don't want to get too sidetracked with Soderbergh, but I feel like, yeah, you could shoot the movie, but Soderbergh probably shot a better one.
Oh, no, 100%. I'm not taking anything away from Steven. It's just like, and that's the same way I feel about this movie is like, this script had to have gone through so many drafts, and so, like, the script for this movie has to be perfect.
Yeah, everything's riding on this movie. It's all coming together, and it has to be good. Or everything falls apart.
Like, I would love to see the screenplay for this movie and just see what is written, what is not, what is improvised, what was written in the script.
Yeah, earlier versions.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like at some point they must have had some earlier versions of the script, and someone decided along the line, I think, a couple things, or a couple people maybe have decided a couple things that probably made it all come together. To go back to what I said before, I think they decided, let's make this story about Thanos. He's the main character. Let's begin with what he's trying to do, and let's end with him succeeding. And like, I think that him succeeding is the groundbreaking thing in this. It's like, wow.
You can absolutely not
the bad guy
overstate
won.
that. The villain wins this movie. Like, this is a superhero movie where the villain wins.
Yeah, it's amazing.
He does
I loved it.
100% of what he succeeds to do, which is murder half the universe.
Which is like the biggest, like the worst thing a villain could, the worst thing that a villain ever tried to
The
do.
biggest consequence ever in any movie.
Yeah.
And what's so mind-blowing about it is, like, if you try to put yourself in a place where he fails, right, where the end of the movie, Thor just comes in and chops his arm off, and then he dies. Like, I would have been so disappointed.
Yeah, it's really...
Like, all that, and all it took was, like...
Yeah, because the story is about Thanos. So if someone just comes in and stops him, it's like that person wasn't even a main character in the movie. It's Thanos is the main character. So it's like out of nowhere.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, Stephen Strange straight up says, there's 1 in 14 million options where they win, and this is that one. Like, them winning still includes Thanos winning.
Yeah, but yeah, I think Doctor Strange must know what happens next.
We're in the end game now.
Yeah, right.
And he just evaporates, and because he knows what's going to happen, he knows 100% what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason I believe that they're going to be okay, is because Doctor Strange was just like, it.
I'll die for a little bit.
Yeah.
But you have to also remember that, like, there's also other foreshadowing that they're not dead, and rather they are gone, if that makes sense. And I say that to bring this point up, in that Red Skull should have been dead, right? But he didn't, and the Tesseract sent him to, I could not for the life of me tell you the name of wherever he was hanging out. But you wonder if the Infinity Gauntlet didn't kill them, but instead transplanted them into, like, a different dimension or something like that.
Yeah, that's probably what happened. But the fact that, like, so they were able to pull it off in a way that, yeah, we can all kind of assume, or we will after we watch the movie, that they're not really dead, but yet we still felt it. Like, we really, like, they make you feel this. Like, it's...
They make you watch Spider-Man die in Tony Stark's arms.
Yeah, that is the hardest one. But, that scene makes you feel like they are all dead, even though they're probably not. And just the way it sort of like slowly like wisp away, and the looks on their faces, and it's all kind of quiet and like just images, and it's just like, oh, what's happening? Oh, okay, I'm gone now. Like it's such a weird way that they did it, and it works so well.
Yeah, I felt like they could have like snapped back into, like, you know, he snaps his fingers, and then we get that like Voldemort or Dumbledore at the train station scene with him and Gamora.
Yeah.
They could have come back and just, like, they're not there anymore.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't have to see them disappear.
Right.
Well, and there's... So, and here's the other thing that we're missing, is there's 6 Infinity Stones.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Were all 6 of them collected?
Yeah.
They were? Okay.
Yeah.
I was missing that, I guess.
4 knuckles, the thumb, and then
The thumb
Mind
is what I
Stone
was missing.
on.
Yeah, okay.
That's where the Time Stone went.
Yeah. What are the stones again? It's power,
It's,
reality.
Yeah, it's space, mind, power, reality, time, and soul.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So that's the thing, is like, maybe they're not dead, but they're gone into one of those. Like, obviously the Red Skull was taken by the Space Stone. Dormammu was taken by the Time Stone. Gamora was taken by the Soul Stone. Because
who did the Ether take?
I don't know, but that's what I'm saying, is like, God knows where they are, because they could be lost in space, they could be lost in time, they could be lost in reality, they could be lost in who knows.
Yeah.
And that's the interesting thing, is now that you bring up Red Skull, the quote from Red Skull, by the way, was not a soul for a stone. It was a soul for a soul. That's why I don't think we've seen the last of Gamora.
To
me, she's trapped in the Soul Stone.
Yeah, I think she probably is. Yeah.
Because he straight up says a soul for a soul. Which, what a name drop, though. With him walking up and it being the Red Skull. What a name drop. What a callback. That's so awesome.
I know. I mean, can you imagine if it was Obadiah? You would have been so mad.
Because even in Captain America 1, you felt like, oh, that wasn't the last I saw him.
Mm-hmm. We even talked about it on the podcast. It was like, I mean, is that guy dead? They could bring him back if they want.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and they did. They did. And he's just the guardian of the Soul Stone for some reason, because that's where the Tesseract saw fit to put him.
I just really like this movie, you guys.
Oh, so good. So
it's so good, dude.
Outside of Thanos, or maybe, I mean, you could say it's Thanos or not. Who was your favorite character in this movie?
Oh, man. Mine?
Yeah, anybody's. Both of you.
I have a least favorite.
Who's your least favorite?
I didn't see the development. Well, Thunderbolt Ross, obviously. But outside of that,
I mean, like, major
I didn't
characters.
see... Right. The development connection between the end of Civil War and now that Steve Rogers would be who Steve Rogers is in this movie. Like, to me, the end of Civil War didn't leave me thinking like, man, he's gonna have to go off on his own now and do his own thing and blah blah blah, and he should probably grow a beard. And
well, the thing is, this movie didn't particularly need Steve.
Yeah, he was actually probably probably the most minor of the main characters in this.
Yeah, I agree. And I did not care for Steve. And I thought that it did so many things well, but in terms of underutilization, I was unimpressed with Steve's character, and I thought T'Challa did not have enough of a role. If you were to beg for a complaint out of me, I think that's
I think that's okay with T'Challa because he just got a movie. And literally, I watched Infinity War and left the theater, and Black Panther was playing in the next theater. He just got a movie. So, I'm okay with the T'Challa we got because I didn't want another Black Panther right away. I didn't want, this is about T'Challa.
I think probably the main reason for that is that they were probably making those movies at the same time. They probably didn't even necessarily know when they started how the movie was going to end up,
Right.
For sure, 100%.
I'm trying to think about my favorite character. It's hard because I still see this movie as the main character being Thanos, and I would say he's my favorite character.
That's what I mean. It's outside Thanos, because I think clearly the best story arc belonged to Thanos, the most development. But out of the Avengers,
maybe Thor.
I think Thor.
Yeah,
Thor's the only other one that really has an arc.
I agree.
Yeah, where he has to go and build a new hammer.
He goes and forges the axe Stormbreaker with Atri, the guy who originally built Mjolnir, in Norse mythology. That's a real thing. That's the dude's real name from the Norse mythology, which I always think is cool. I like Norse mythology.
Yeah,
I do. I think it's cool when they call back to that. That's something the Thor movies have done very well. And he has to go build this axe from the heart of the dying star. They have to restart the forge, and it's this whole group effort between him and Groot. Team Groot gets his moment, and
it's awesome.
And he and Rocket play really well together, and the whole thing with Peter, and he's just this.
But
he's still super confident Thor, even though his brother just died, and he's totally okay with it because he understands that that's probably where Loki wanted to be.
Yeah. I think Thor's whole story is interesting. It's one of the more interesting ones. I would say the people that have the biggest moments, the Star-Lord failing at the plan moment was also a big moment. Where he suddenly changes and is really disturbed by Gamora's death. That was shocking, much like seeing Spider-Man die was shocking, because he's such a happy-go-lucky guy all the time, and then suddenly you see him really take something hard, and it's geez, this movie's getting very serious.
And I almost feel like that was unwarranted. I didn't feel like he ever cared that much about Gamora, and that may be just because Guardians 2 wasn't all that great, but I really just never felt like he cared that much about Gamora.
I think that was always I think he always did. He just couldn't admit it because he was such a silly guy. And so that's what made that scene so powerful to me. It was oh, it's finally really coming out now.
Right, and I think it paralleled really well to the scene in Empire where Han's going into Carbonite.
Yeah.
Where, it almost looks at that scene and says, you could have done this. Because, they've got the moment where he's there to shoot her on Nowhere.
Yeah.
And she says, I love you, and he says, I love you too, instead, in that moment, you're watching Star Wars.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I forgot about that scene. Yeah, that's a big one too. Star-Lord's also got quite an arc going on.
Yeah, I felt like Iron Man, Star-Lord, and Thor and Doctor Strange were really the protagonists here.
We got some really great Tony in this movie.
Yeah.
Some really old school Iron Man. He was really quippy and great, and he was he did the whole thing. Pepper was back.
I really like Tony Stark a lot. I wouldn't say his arc was as interesting. I feel like it was kind of the same as it always is, which is he has to just fight the bad guys. But his scenes and his dialogue were amazing, and it was every time he was on screen. Every time anyone was on screen, I was entertained. But when he gives it his all after the plan fails and then almost dies was also a great character moment. Man, the more we talk about it, the harder it is for me to decide who my favorite character is.
Well, I think if they were to have titled this anything other than the Avengers, if you were to say this is I think by titling it the Avengers, they're saying Age of Ultron should have been about Ultron, right?
Yeah.
Instead of the team, instead of Tony Stark.
Right. Well,
but I think if you were to make it a character's movie, it would be Thor 4, because he, It's like the second part to Ragnarok. It's like the full circle of the retcon.
I kind of disagree with that,
he's got a new
honestly.
weapon.
I feel like it's close to that. I mean, I feel like you need more Thor for it to be Thor 4.
I don't know, man. If you're gonna force to tie it to a different series, like a different movie, it's Doctor Strange 2.
Although I would make the argument that Guardians is a pretty heavily represented here too.
This is a better sequel to Guardians of the Galaxy than Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Yeah.
Like 100%. This is the sequel Guardians of the Galaxy 2 or Guardians of the Galaxy 1 deserved.
The fact
Well,
that
I mean, you could have.
the fact that we're arguing about this shows how awesomely balanced this movie is.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Like,
Right.
if gun to my head, you had to put like this is another person's movie. Like, this is Captain America 5 or whatever. I don't know, Iron Man 4 or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, and on the Guardians thing, like, you were saying this is a better sequel to Guardians 1. This is like, they watched Guardians 2 and were like, you know, that ego guy was pretty cool and he wanted to destroy pretty much the whole universe just like that.
Let's give him a motive.
Let's do that. Let's do that, but better, you know?
Yeah, and just really delve deep into the guy who's doing it.
Well, that's the thing, is it's just a sequel to all of the movies in Phase 3. It's a sequel to Doctor Strange. It's a sequel to Ragnarok. It's a sequel to Guardians 2. It's a sequel to Black Panther. It's a sequel to Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Is Ant-Man not Phase 3?
No,
or is
Ant-Man
that
was
the
the
end
last of Phase 2.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, they reversed it because the Ant-Man movies need to come out just after the Avengers movies for some reason. Because because Scott Lang's going to keep not being in them.
Yeah.
I wonder what the reason for that is.
Well-
Like, you don't think Paul Rudd is like, oh, no. I'll work for you, but I won't do those movies.
Well, I think it might just be the story. Like, what maybe some because Ant-Man's going to come out in this world, this post-Thanos world, right?
I think it is taking place pre-Thanos.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised, and I do want to talk briefly. Have you seen the Ant-Man trailer? The one that came out today?
No. I have not either.
Well, then oh man, you guys are the worst. But I think what's gonna happen in Ant-Man is, like, we'll get through the whole movie, and it might even be a post-credits thing where he'll be talking to the Wasp, and one of them will just fade away.
Yeah. That would be cool.
Or like Hank Pym
Are you-
will or something.
so
Ooh,
you-
I just
you're
got
sure?
chills thinking about that. Jesus Christ.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That would be. It seems to make a lot of sense. Are you sure though? You're sure it's pre?
I'm pretty sure. If you watch the preview that came out today,
Yeah.
it seems like if half the world disappeared, there would be at much higher stakes. But they don't have any heroes helping them, so I have no idea.
What are the other movies coming out?
just Captain Marvel.
Just Captain Marvel.
Captain
and
Marvel
Ant-Man?
comes out a month and a half before the next Avengers. Comes out the end of March, and Avengers comes out the beginning of May.
I think Captain Marvel's going to directly tie in. Although
I would guarantee it. Captain Marvel takes place in the 90s, and from what I
Yeah.
understand, she doesn't age. She's like Superman, so I would not be surprised at all if the like post-credit scene for Captain Marvel was the first scene of Avengers 4.
Yeah, well, the Nick Fury's sending her a page.
Yeah,
or something.
that's what I'm saying. Is like it's going to tie directly into that.
Yeah.
This is a fun fact. I don't know. A lot of people don't know this. Brie Larson also does not age. She's actually
really?
close to 90 years
That
old.
makes sense. Yeah.
That's true. She does look exactly the same as she did in Scott Pilgrim like 10 years ago.
You're right. She does not age. Wow.
Yeah.
That's really disturbing.
Yeah.
That's the most disturbing thing we've talked about today.
Yeah, her and Keanu Reeves should have like babies together.
Does Keanu Reeves
world's
He
not
doesn't
ready.
age either, does he?
No, he does not age.
No.
He grows.
Guys,
He grows facial hair on and off to make him look like he's older, but he's not
Yeah.
actually older. He's been around since like the 1700s.
Oh my God.
Like,
Wow.
That's like a confirmed fact.
Wild.
That there are pictures of Keanu Reeves, like paintings from like 1780.
I think I saw one, at
Yeah.
the Chicago Art Museum.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. You live in Chicago. That's great.
Yeah, just name dropping my city. Although I don't actually right now. I did for 12 years, but we're getting way off topic now.
Your Wikipedia page says you do not live in Chicago.
What does it say?
It says you live in an undisclosed Midwestern city.
That's right. That's absolutely right. That's awesome that the wiki, because I intentionally haven't said where I live, so it's good that the Wikipedia page, no one has found out yet.
Nobody's found out yet.
Yeah. I moved to Austin for a year and a half, and then I moved back to an undisclosed Midwestern city. Yeah.
It's an unusual name for a city.
It's long. It's really annoying to write down on envelopes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
It's also very confusing. Some people think it's not a real place, or it might be
that's
somewhere
where clones
else.
come from.
Yeah. What else about this movie, guys?
So what? Like we've only talked about the ending, and I think that pretty much. And I think that says.
well-
I mean, we've talked about some other plot points. Like, but this movie, and I had the same. This is the only complaint I had about this movie. Is it like before the ending happens, it's like a straight hour of fight scene. I know
that's a complaint.
I know it's not actually that long. Well, to me, I felt like no movie could have deserved this ending. Like the ending of this movie is so incredible that like there's no movie you could put in front of it that makes it to me worthy of this ending. So,
so your criticism is the ending's too good?
The ending of this movie is too good for the movie we got.
I just couldn't disagree more.
I disagree. I disagree.
And I mean, that's not even a criticism. That's like saying that like this is a great movie with a better ending.
Yeah. I like how. I mean, I feel like the ending is. It doesn't feel like it's like out of place. Like it feels like it works very well with the movie, but it just kind of sneaks up on you. It's just like.
Maybe I'm just over giant battle scenes at this point.
Well, I generally like. I'm often bored by giant battle scenes, but I wasn't bored by this one. I feel like probably because each character was so represented well throughout the movie that like I understood the stakes, and then the actual action itself was inventive and amazing most of the time. Well, maybe the stuff on Wakanda was kind of standard.
The stuff on Wakanda was just a straight ripoff of Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
I suppose, yeah. This is the first time that I thought that I considered that. But yeah, you're right.
Like it's a much better ripoff. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's 1,000% better. But like straight up with them with the shields and everything, I was sitting there like, I've seen this before. That's a name I've not heard in a long time.
Yeah, actually. So I guess I would say that's one of the weakest parts of the movie, but it's not bad.
No, there's no weak parts of this movie. Like, don't get me wrong, y'all and fellow listeners. It's like I'm not complaining about the movie.
I would say that is like a lot of crazy action where it's like kind of like stuff you've seen before, I guess. But
I love the way it interplayed some of the old guard versus the new guard. Like when they had Captain America and T'Challa running out like way ahead of everybody else.
Yeah.
And you get kind of a reminder of, the powers that, of course, Captain America has, but also that, like, I don't know. I just thought it was really cool. I thought it was like a neat little moment.
Well, and that particular battle was really well shot because, especially, because there weren't really a whole lot of close-ups. It wasn't about the individual fights between the Avengers and the whoever they're fighting. It's about the actual battle itself, and it was cool to just like see the purple flashes of T'Challa's suit every now and then, just kind of in the background.
Yeah, and it was also kind of cool the whole thing where they're just launching those whatever those monsters are right at the force field to get through. Like their method of getting through is to just die, to just like launch themselves at it until they slowly break through the force field.
That was some very like zombie movie, like I Am Legend, World War Z type stuff.
Yeah,
like very hive mind type thing.
Yeah, and I enjoyed it. We also didn't really mention like another really disturbing moment in the movie. Well, we did mention it, but we haven't really talked much about Vision's whole plot and Vision and what's her name?
Scarlet Witch.
Yeah. And how like they spend all this time trying to destroy his stone in his forehead, and then they do, and so he dies, and then Thanos shows up. The beginning of the whole dread of the end of the movie. It turns back time, picks him up, kills him again. He dies twice. It's so devastating. It's so like,
and there's a certain satisfaction to like you watch the movie Doctor Strange and you're like, well, that's how they're gonna beat Thanos. It's just that easy. Yeah. You can do that to anybody always. You can just lock them in a loop until they let.
And I'm really glad they didn't do that.
Yeah. Right, and so they were like, well, we're not gonna get away from not doing the turn back time thing.
Yeah.
How else can we do it?
Yeah, and they did it in a way that made you feel terrible.
So y'all think Vision's like dead? Like big dead, like Loki dead?
I think he is. And I think they intentionally made him like dying at the beginning of the movie because he was too powerful otherwise.
Like the Mind Stone would have been too valuable an asset against Thanos.
Yeah.
Because like in my mind he could have destroyed anybody for any reason just because.
Mm-hmm. So they made him dying and also in love. So that they would want to keep him alive.
Yeah, those are the two things that destroy a man more than anything else.
Mind stones and love?
Dying?
And love. Dying and love.
Yeah, dying does a pretty good job of destroying people, generally.
Generally, yeah.
That whole plot was also well done. The whole love story plot. I guess I don't think about that plot as much as the rest of the movie, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I almost kind of forgot about that whole thing a little bit. Like, there's a lot to unpack and a lot to take in with this movie, and I think that was probably the weak point, if there is a weak point of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, I think I don't know that it's a weak point. I think one thing it did really, really well was I didn't much care for the Vision and Scarlet Witch story coming into it, and I think they did a really good job of having that expositional scene of them in Scotland or whatever, Glasgow.
No, it was
And
Edinburgh.
being
It was
like-
Edinburgh, Scotland. That was where my honeymoon was, actually.
Ooh.
Yeah. So that hit home a
And
little bit.
Yeah, that's why I liked it so much.
Yeah.
Now, is that an undisclosed city in the Midwest, or?
Edinburgh, Scotland. That's where I live.
Yeah, he insisted on recording in Central Time, even though it's 6 a.m. right now.
I thought they did a really good job of like doing the exposition and being like, these two are in love and we're gonna accept that moving forward, and you can see that happening, and they both are products of she was created from the Tesseract, is that correct? Or from the
No, I think she was from the Mind Stone, actually. Like
the Mind Stone. Yeah, that's right. She was a product of the Mind Stone because she was made from Loki's scepter.
Yeah, from the scepter.
Which doesn't work on Tony Stark, if you remember Avengers 1. That might be an important detail. I don't know.
Wait, what doesn't work on Tony?
The Mind Stone.
The Mind Stone doesn't work on Tony Stark.
Why is that?
Because in Avengers 1, he didn't, like, you remember Loki taps him with the scepter to, like, get him to Clint Barton?
Oh, yeah.
And it didn't work.
But why doesn't it work?
I don't know, because the arc reactor prevents it.
Oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, he didn't have a heart.
Yeah, all right.
He had a heart, but there was shrapnel that might go
Right.
near it. So as a result, he flew a nuke into a wormhole.
Yes.
And he's still upset about it.
Yeah.
I mean, what would you do, Ethan, if you watched the Chitauri die?
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like the Chitauri we got a little bit of backstory on them.
Yeah, they're like Thanos' like army of choice.
Yeah, like, well, they look like they came from Titan. Mm-hmm. Because
Did you notice when Titan?
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say,
please.
like, when they showed Titan at its peak, when it was prospering, there was all the big, like, crazy whale things floating around.
No, that was on Gamora's planet.
Was that on Gamora's planet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I missed that. I mixed that one up.
There's a lot to unpack with this movie.
That's right.
Okay, so
that's right. We
those
just say
come
that
from
again.
wherever Gamora's from,
Yeah.
which I guess probably is where the
I
Chitauri
think-
come from.
I thought he brought them to Gamora's world.
I went to the bathroom, like, right as Thanos was murdering all of Gamora's people, basically.
Don't look, little one.
Yeah, and I heard the murdering of people.
Why Gamora, though? Like, how did he pick her?
Because she fought off one of the Chitauri.
Was that it?
I think so.
So what happened? What did I miss when I went to the bathroom?
Yeah, I missed that too.
I mean, he hands her like a perfectly balanced knife, and he talks about how balance is so important in the universe, and that's reflected through like his scars are matching on each side on his face, and it's really interesting. He's very symmetrical, except for the fact that he has one glove, because he wants to knock out half of everything.
Wow.
He believes in symmetry and balance.
So that was very important to Thanos' character, that part that I missed. Yeah.
well, I mean, he doesn't say all that. That's just me explaining that.
Okay.
No, but he hands her like a perfectly balanced
I think
knife.
that happened. I think I saw that. Right. That was also right before I left.
And then I think right after that, you get a scene of Gamora with Quill on Quill's ship. And that's when she says to him, if it comes to this, like, if he gets me, swear to me that you'll kill me on your mother's life. Which is, like, the only thing you can say to Quill to get him to do it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think I figured that's what happened, because later, like, he said she says you promised or something.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, that's probably what I missed. Probably promised to kill her or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she knows where the thing is. I think one of the plot points that I was like, really? Is that, like, Nebula has a recording of Gamora saying, I know where the Soul Stone is.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
But
I was wondering what that was from, like, if that was actually from a previous movie, but I don't think so.
It's not.
No, I
it's
don't
just,
think
you
so.
can chalk it
Yeah.
up to one of the many ways that Nebula sucks.
Oh, I actually like Nebula more in this one.
I'm still not sold. Nice Pop-Tart looking
I'm not
person.
sold.
Yeah, what?
She looks like one of those Pop-Tarts from the late 90s that's purple with the blue swirl.
All right, I can see that.
That's the only thing I could think of. And then I went and bought some of those Pop-Tarts, and they were disappointing, and they did not taste the same as they did in 1999.
So why do you hate Nebula so much?
I don't know. I never liked her character in the first one. I liked her even less in the second one because she's just mean all the time. She's angry, and I get that she's like vengeful or whatever, but I never felt like until this movie they kind of gave her some credence, but until this movie I felt like they never gave her, I don't know, enough of a reason to be as angry as she is, or any explanation as to why Thanos was the way he is.
It sounds to me like you have a accurate assessment of her. It just really bothers you the way she is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I think that she does I think they retconned her a little bit, or we're like, oh crap, we didn't really explain why this character is the way they are in Guardians Volume 1, and they gave her a lot of stock in Guardians Volume 2, but then Guardians Volume 2 just totally sucked.
Whoa! I liked Guardians 2.
Did you really?
Okay,
Yeah,
that's fine.
I liked 1 better, but I would not say it totally sucked. I don't think so. I disagree. Sorry, guys.
That's okay.
It's got some good scenes. The music is better in Volume 2,
Yeah.
and
There's no cherry bomb.
The scene.
I will say I watched it in the theater, and then I watched it with my wife at home, and she stopped it. We stopped it before finishing because she wasn't enjoying it. So I understand that most people do not, or a lot of people don't like this movie.
I can run Guardians 2 down for you real quick. Drax was wrong in the entire movie, and he was like not up to the par of the original character at all. He like makes jokes now. Peter just screamed the whole time and didn't really do anything else. And Ego was a bad villain.
Ego was a great villain. It was
not well executed to me.
Well, to me, the problem was that it couldn't take itself seriously at the times that it needed to take itself seriously.
It was too many jokes.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I didn't find Drax's character out of character to me. I
Really?
felt like he was always kind of that way.
That was kind of the main issue I had with it. Is like a lot of them are so different from where they were in the first movie.
Yeah.
But I mean,
it felt like there was a missing link Guardians movie between
that's
those.
the thing and it had some great moments. Like when Groot brings back everything, including the desk instead of the fin. Like that was hilarious. It had some great moments. It had some strong points. It's not by any means like a bad movie necessarily. Like I would still rather watch it than like most things.
Yeah.
Just compared to the rest.
Well, I will say that the second time I watched it, when I sat down with my wife, I felt a little bored. Like the first time I was completely into it, but for some reason it just felt a little boring. Like it was kind of plotting at times. Like especially like the scenes where a lot of people are dying. Like when what's the raccoon's name? Rocket. Where he's like killing everyone in the woods. The first time I saw it, I was like enthralled. The second time, I'm like, this kind of goes on for a while. Like it's like get over it, you know?
Yeah. That being said, I did like the scene where Yondu does get the fin back and just starts murdering everybody on the ship.
Yondu was the best thing about that movie.
That was awesome, but also long. Also, like if you're not into the movie, I could see how you'd be bored by that. You know?
Yeah.
But that was cool. But yeah, wait. What did you say your favorite Marvel movie was?
Mine is Ragnarok, Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, same.
That's the top 5. Can you name the top 5 again?
Yeah, hang on a second.
Yeah.
Our top 5 were Thor Ragnarok, Black Panther, Iron Man, Spider-Man Homecoming, and Civil War.
Yeah.
And then
I think I might be with you on the first 3. I would say, well, now I would say Infinity War is my favorite.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like, I'm not kidding when I say I love this as much as Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, I completely agree. I love it. Like,
yeah,
I think in my movied podcast I do with Jake, we totally, I don't know how you guys feel about The Last Jedi, but we totally loved it, and we like spent the whole episode like gushing over it. And I like this better.
The Last Jedi is number 6 on our list right now.
Of movies?
Of all movies, yeah.
Of all movies, yeah.
Of all the movies we reviewed.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to run down our top?
Yes, let's hear them.
Okay, so it's Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, Star Wars Episode 4, New Hope, Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, Monty Python and the Holy Grail, Back to the Future, Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, Thor Ragnarok, Black Panther, Iron Man, Spider-Man Homecoming, Captain America Civil War.
Whoa, slow down. Wait, what was 5?
5, I'm looking at a messed up list right now. 5 was Back to the Future.
And 4 was
4 was Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Ah, okay. I like Life of Brian better than Holy Grail, personally.
We have not reviewed Life of Brian.
Oh yeah. But I also like Last Jedi better than Return of the Jedi, personally.
I did as well, but I was outvoted.
Yeah.
Well, and that was one that, I think after we finish this discussion, we'll probably put Infinity War either at number 1 or number 2.
Yeah.
I think I think we can probably put it at number 1.
Yeah, man, I love Star Wars, and I think I might do the same. Like that's almost sacrilegious for me, but like.
Believe me, I feel you.
I might need to give it a little more time and let it sink in a little more to see how I really feel about it. But
yeah, for me, it's a coin flip between that and Empire.
Yeah,
but yeah, so that was kind of the situation. Was we did Last Jedi, was right at the early days of the pod, and I was actually on my honeymoon during the episode that reviewed that. So that's the only episode one of us was not on. So we will revisit Last Jedi on a Sunday, like a short episode here in 2 weeks, because we're in the middle of finishing Star Wars.
So our next episode is The Force Awakens.
I like that. That's great too. I wouldn't put it above the. I have to think about it.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, because it's really tight. It's really tightly. Yeah. It's tighter, better constructed movie than The Last Jedi, but doesn't have the highest highs that The Last Jedi has. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about.
What I'm getting at is we're working with a lot of great movies on this list. So far, pretty much all we've reviewed is the entire Marvel series, Back to the Future, Monty Python, most of the Star Wars movies, and Ready Player One.
All right, I haven't seen Ready Player One. What did you think?
Where did we put it? We put it between Captain America: The First Avenger and Back to the Future Part 3, so it's kind of like...
So it's all right?
It's like 17 on the list out of...
Yeah, so it's right in the
17
middle.
out of 31 right now.
It's an above average
What's
romp.
the bottom?
Phantom Menace.
Ooh, good call.
Yeah.
Good call.
Phantom Menace, if I could put it at like 80, I would, but we haven't reviewed 80 movies yet.
Well, you need to review 80 to just bring that down.
And then the next is The Incredible Hulk.
Ooh, good call.
Yeah.
Have you seen the other Hulk movie? Hulk?
I have, but we did not review it, so it's not on the list.
That's even worse.
Yeah,
even worse.
That's probably honestly worse than Phantom Menace.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
That's one of the very few movies that I would have walked out of it, but I went with a friend and we sat in separate seats, like we weren't next to each other. So we both would have walked out of that movie. It was so bad.
I remember I saw that movie. It was 2002, correct?
Yeah, I think so.
2003, I think.
Yeah.
I was 9 or 10 years old when that movie came out, and I begged my mom outside the theater for us to see it.
Yeah.
Instead of whatever else we went to the theater to see. And she was like, okay, fine, we'll go see the superhero movie. And I remember crying in the car afterwards, being like, that was the worst movie I've ever seen. And I'm 9 years old.
Yeah, it was 2003. You were 10.
Yeah, that movie doesn't even work for little kids.
No.
Right. It was, oh my God.
It's really, really bad.
I would for years after that, anytime I'd see a movie that I didn't like, I would be like, it was bad. It wasn't as bad as Hulk.
Yeah, Hulk is one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
I mean, I've seen some pretty terrible movies.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And it's way down there. I
would rather watch Hulk than like the Human Centipede.
I didn't see the Human Centipede because I know I probably wouldn't like it.
It was like a thing we did on my freshman hall when I was in college.
Sorry to derail this conversation.
Oh no, our viewers our listeners love it when we get off topic.
All right, good.
Yeah, they're totally cool with that.
That's what I tend to do.
Yeah,
so
they're totally cool with that. And we talked about the movie for like more than we usually talk about the movie.
Oh really?
Yeah, usually we get to about the hour 10 mark, and
I feel like there's probably
probably
more to say.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And that's the thing is like this is. I know we're called Bacon and Eggs, a movie review podcast, but like we're by no means professional movie reviewers. Like that's not our job. Like we're not good at reviewing movies. We just kind of talk about movies, why we love them, what's great about them, what's not great about them, why we don't love them, and like it's a podcast for people that love movies.
Yeah, I feel like that's the way it should be. I feel like most movie critics have this. There's this idea that they're better at reviewing movies than everyone. I mean, and some, there are a lot of people that aren't good because they don't watch very many movies.
If you look at the TV and film list on iTunes podcasts, it's just a lot of people being mean to movies.
Yeah.
Legitimately. There's even one that's very successful called We Hate Movies.
Well,
legitimately. We hate movies.
Well, I mean, like CinemaSins is like one of the biggest movie YouTube channels.
Yeah.
And
CinemaSins is problematic. That's a whole different story.
Someone should do a CinemaSins of CinemaSins.
I think they did you not do that?
I did not.
Oh, I think somebody has.
Well, it seems like
I think they did that.
Yeah. Well, then no one else can. Sure.
Yeah, they covered their tracks on that one.
So we got a few things to do. We got to rank it amongst all the Marvel movies. We have to rank it amongst all the movies we've reviewed. We have to rank the villain, and we have to give it a breakfast food. So let's start with the villain.
How do you rank the villain?
We don't really. We just talk about. Okay, so we have we have a scale. Okay, a villain scale, and it's from at the bottom. The worst villain of all time is Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face in Batman Forever. because he just keeps flipping the coin until he gets what he wants.
Yeah.
And then on the other end of that scale is Heath Ledger as the Joker.
Oh, yeah. 2 Batman villains. All right.
Well, we figured when we were originally doing Marvel, we're like, we can't rank Marvel villains as like the best and worst, so we got to pick something else. So we picked Batman villains.
That makes a lot of sense. And I was on board to say Thanos was like one of the best, if not the best. But now that you mentioned Heath Ledger as the Joker, yeah, that's okay. Let's do this.
Right. It's a bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
I think coming into it, it's easy to want to say Heath Ledger's Joker is better.
Yeah.
And in terms of, like, I think the movie critic and all of us would say that. Like, you know, the avant-garde person would be like, objectively, yes. But I don't know. I would feel comfortable saying that Thanos is a better villain.
Because you just feel for Thanos, man. Like, when he...
I mean, I don't. He killed Heimdall and he killed Loki.
No,
right
but when you start talking about like I killed the thing, I had to kill the thing I love to save the universe. Like that's not something a villain usually does. It's like even the Joker is just evil for evil's sake.
Also, the way that Thanos is portrayed in this movie, like I said before, he is the main character of this movie, and I think it's pretty rare to have a movie where the villain is the just absolute main character of a movie. Heath Ledger's Joker isn't the main character of The Dark Knight.
Right. I think Bane is the main character of Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, I guess I could see that. I guess I could see that.
Not super about Batman.
But Bane isn't as good as either of these guys.
No,
he's
but
not.
Thanos, they almost convince you that it's a good idea to destroy half of the universe.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I think Thanos can take that top spot if we want to give it to him.
I think, well, here's what I think. Is I at no point was I like, yeah, that might not actually be a bad idea. But they convinced me that, like, people could be sympathetic to this idea.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Like,
I wasn't on board with the
Right,
idea.
we're not actually just going to kill half the galaxy just to, or half the universe, half of all the planes of existence as per Asgard.
Yeah, but
I felt like he did a good job of convincing me that he thought he was the good guy.
Yeah, he believes what he's doing. He's not just being bad. He's not just evil. He's just he actually believes he's good.
And he doesn't even particularly care about the heroes that are trying to stop him. Like, it's of no priority to kill them.
Yeah, and he actually has sympathy for some of them. Like he hopes people remember Iron Man, for instance.
Right.
And I just really like that idea, his conflict. I also really like Heath Ledger's Joker, but it's hard to say. I think I might put Thanos above him.
I think Thanos was more effective in the movie. Because,
I mean,
but Dark Knight Rises, or not Dark Knight Rises, Dark Knight even had, like, another villain.
Yeah.
In Two-Face. Yeah, in a better Two-Face.
A really good Two-Face, man. Aaron Eckhart, you want to talk about an actor.
Yeah.
Much better Two-Face. So I'd say we can, I mean, is Thanos better than Darth Vader? Is he better than, who are some other, like, quintessential villains? Like,
I think he is. I think he is better than Vader. I think Vader...
Palpatine succeeds.
Palpatine does succeed in the prequels.
In the prequels, I don't count the prequels.
No, but he does succeed. He succeeds in overthrowing the entire Galactic Republic.
But he doesn't destroy half of the universe.
No.
And when you see those movies and you see that he succeeds, you already know that he fails later.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Well, and Palpatine is motivated by the dark side, which is literally like, I'm motivated by evil which compounds itself.
Which is less interesting, I think.
Right. Than Thanos, who is motivated by the loss of his people to
I mean, you can't leave this conversation without saying that Thanos is one of the, if not the greatest screen villain of all time. I mean, one of, in the conversation. Mm-hmm. And we don't even need to come down with a hard answer on this. It's just, this one's mostly an exercise.
Yeah. I mean, right now, the movie's still fresh in my mind. I need some time, but right now, he's my favorite movie villain.
I would agree with that.
I would agree with that.
Wow. We're all in agreement.
And just hats off to Josh Brolin, who kills it in every single role he is put into, but Jesus Christ, man, this was a good one.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, he can.
And they could have gone funny with it. He's never funny, really. He never makes any jokes.
He's just on a mission, man. He's on a mission from God. You know what I'm saying?
So they make a villain who's actually serious and convicted in what he's saying, and he's not just like hamming it up for the screen.
He's not mischievous. He's not Loki.
Yeah, and I mean, the Joker's funny.
He's also not just evil for evil's sake.
Yeah, but yet he's not boring either on screen. Like you watch him and you're in.
It was a hell of a performance from Josh Brolin.
Yeah.
I mean, I believed it. I bought into it. Okay, so is this the best Marvel movie ever made? Done.
Yes.
Yep. Cool. Is it better than Empire Strikes Back?
Oh.
I'm gonna say
agree with
yes.
that.
I'm gonna refrain from answering.
That's fine. I mean, it's a toss-up. They're both great movies. They're both
Yeah.
going to go down in the history books as
Yeah.
being great movies.
Yeah.
It's a tough one, but we like hard stances here on Bacon and Eggs. Hard, sometimes unpopular stances.
Yeah.
So I'm cool with saying yes.
Well, I think I need more time to think about it.
That's fine.
For that. Yeah.
That's fine. And if you get a wild hair later on down the road, just
I'll
add us or
drop
give us
in
a
the
ring or
middle of
something
an
like.
episode.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
You just make a whole video about how you feel about it.
I will, and just to you guys.
Directly
how
to
dare you
us.
guys make me pick this? How dare you make me choose? Perfect. Well, there we go.
Between my babies.
There's our rankings. What is a breakfast food for this movie?
A breakfast food.
Yeah.
By the way, Wheezy, is the coffee ready?
The coffee done? It is not done because it's 9:30 p.m. and I need to sleep. So
Did I mess up your joke? Is that what I did?
it's okay. You were one word off. It's okay.
I was very close.
Yeah.
I'm super embarrassed now.
No, it's fine. This movie, I think, would be the perfect omelet.
Do you think
So tell me why.
flesh that out a little bit more? Yeah.
Well, with an omelet, you can put like multiple things in. It can be whatever you want. And this movie is just characters from all over the universe. And so I guess this omelet would be the best, it'd be all the good things in one omelet, like bacon and you could even put like bits of pancake in it. I don't know if that would taste good.
Well, this is so I like where you're headed with the omelet idea, that it's got everything you want in it and it's fully loaded.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking more of a breakfast burrito.
Yeah, similar, yes.
Now, just to give you context, Empire Strikes Back is bacon and eggs.
Okay.
Yeah, we figured that was the quintessential
standard.
movie. It's like when
Yeah.
we started making the podcast, we knew we were going to do Marvel, and we knew we were eventually going to do Star Wars, and we even had the conversation like, is anything better than Empire? Probably not.
Yeah. But now
Here we are.
And now you're saying that this could be the new bacon and eggs then.
And Empire sat atop that throne for exactly 2 weeks, which is hilarious.
Right. Dude, we did not think this was going to happen this fast.
Yeah. I mean, I went through my whole life with Empire on the throne. So, but now,
It's amazing how many
I don't know
guests
that
we
this is
have
the new
that say
bacon and
that.
egg.
Yeah.
Like, just in general, the guests that we've had have been a group of people that seem to think Empire Strikes Back is actually the greatest movie ever made.
yeah. Well, I actually don't necessarily think it is the greatest movie ever made, but I do think it's the best Star Wars movie, and it is the best, of this kind of movie.
Among its peers, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the pinnacle of nerd cinema.
Yeah.
You mean you wouldn't give that to like 2009 Star Trek?
No.
No. I would rank Chris Pine as fifth Chris.
Behind who?
Really?
Chris.
Where are you getting a fourth Chris?
I'm sorry, maybe fourth Chris. I don't know, but it's definitely Hemsworth, Pratt, Evans,
Yeah,
Pine.
you said fifth. I was thinking there was another Chris in there that I was missing.
Maybe there is another one.
I mean, there's plenty of people named Chris in the world that
true.
are probably
That's true.
more attractive than Chris Pine.
I don't know that anybody's more attractive. I'm just telling you, the way of the world, he is fourth Chris.
Oh, yeah.
Are we saying that Infinity War is the new bacon and egg? Is that what we're saying?
Actually,
It
I
feels
like
bigger than
I like
that.
the breakfast burrito idea. I love the omelet idea too because both of them have the same kind of consistency in that it's like bacon and eggs wrapped in something.
That's true.
It is.
Bacon and eggs omelet, or bacon and eggs and pancakes.
What if it's like one of those like waffle tacos
What if we combine-
from Taco Bell that's just bacon and eggs inside a curled up waffle?
Well, what if it was bacon and eggs crepes?
That's too. I don't know. That's too out
That's
there.
too French.
It's
too French.
It is a little French.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. This is a tough one. It's not like we can keep track of this either. We have no idea. I think we've declared both of the Avengers movies so far to be omelets, I think.
Or like a breakfast
Yeah,
scramble.
something like that.
Yeah. So this could be a bacon and egg skillet.
Ooh. I do love a breakfast skillet.
Yes.
Because it's like
That's
bacon and
usually my
eggs.
go-to.
It's like bacon and eggs with
Yeah.
some cast iron grit to it.
And some other stuff.
Yeah.
Probably.
Ooh, good call, Craig.
Like grits.
Good call.
Yeah.
Bacon and eggs, the skillet.
Yeah.
What kind of coffee is served with it?
Called Ruta Maya. It was my favorite coffee in Austin. So one of my favorite coffees, French press. So of
course.
Yeah.
Tyler,
Ruta Maya French press.
didn't you put
press.
honey in French press coffee earlier today?
Well, it was the last cup of the French press, and I was already done with what I wanted to drink for coffee. So I tried a little bit of honey in my coffee to see if it was good, because I saw the lady put it out at the spot where you
Probably pretty
get
good.
your fixins. It really didn't taste any different. It was a little sweeter on the back
You
end.
needed to put more honey in, probably.
That might be the case, but I felt like I put a healthy amount.
It's probably just like
What?
putting sugar.
Yeah,
in
I was
coffee.
gonna say I don't really think honey tastes like anything.
Well, anyway, I there's a reason people use sugar instead of honey. I can tell you that.
Yeah, it probably doesn't spread.
Honey's
very
great
good.
in tea.
Honey is great in tea.
That's true.
So
So
that sounds suspicious.
Bacon and
like,
eggs
yeah,
skillet.
like an answer. Craig, what's next for Wheezy Waiter? Where do we go from here?
Oh, we're talking about me.
We're talking about you for a minute. You've managed to stealthily avoid talking about you almost through the entire podcast, which is
You see, that's why I'm not that successful. I'm not full of myself enough. Well, right now there's a big story. There's a big epic saga happening.
I saw
on
that
my channel.
Yeah.
The cookie saga.
Yeah.
And it involves a clone of mine from the future. Well, he claims to be me from the future, comes back, and he's trying to improve my life so that life is better in the future, and won't allow me to eat the cookies on top of the fridge until I do. Turns out he's not who he says he is, and things are progressing from there, and it's going to end. I will say Infinity War inspired me as to where the story is going.
To change the ending, to plan out your ending differently?
Yeah, well, I didn't actually know what the ending
Oh, there you
was
go.
going to be.
Fair enough. To plan
But
out your
now
ending
I kinda-
entirely.
Yeah, and it's going to go dark, folks. It's going to go dark.
Are you saying
all I will say.
saying you're going to die here shortly?
Well, I don't. There are a lot of versions of me, so don't worry if I do.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
As long as you say that, I feel a little bit better. I like it. Accomplished YouTuber. Dead at however old you are.
22.
26.
22.
Right.
13. Yeah.
Right.
The legal age to upload videos on YouTube.
Is that really it?
Yeah. Well, it used to be you couldn't have an account unless you were 13.
I have no idea.
I haven't.
I don't think Google has ever
I
stopped
think,
making
yeah, I
an
don't think
account.
it was a problem because I think YouTube came out when I was 13.
Ah. Okay.
It did, yeah, 2006, right? That was the go date.
Might have been 2005, actually.
I don't know. I heard about it in 2006, and my friends used to watch Naruto videos on it. That was all they used it
Naruto?
for.
I don't even know what that is.
It's an anime cartoon.
Ah, yes.
And
I don't know much anime.
I don't either, but I remember that.
Oh, no.
I remember that being the first time I ever heard of YouTube, and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna watch this on YouTube." And I was like, "What's a YouTube?"
What? You mean E-Bombs
Yeah, I was
World,
like,
right?
"This isn't
You know-
this isn't Newgrounds.com. How dare you?"
You know, there was a time when people said the word video and it meant something else. It didn't. You refer to a video. That doesn't make any sense. That wouldn't have made any sense before the
Yeah,
internet.
no.
It would have been just like a movie or like a videotape or something. But like a video
I'm
to
gonna,
mean
I'm
like
gonna make a video. Like, what does that even
yeah,
mean?
yeah. That means a segment of motion images on the internet
Yeah.
that or somewhere where there's a just video happening.
And now
for a little
literally
while.
anybody can do it. You can buy a 1080p webcam at Best Buy
Yep.
for like $75.
Yeah, and it has ruined my career.
I mean, your videos still look great.
Oh, well, thank you, sir.
Yeah, like-
actually, my latest few I've been shooting in RAW, if you know what that means. Like
Yeah.
Big files?
Yeah, like taking a DSLR camera, hacking into it, and so it doesn't compress the footage at all. So it's just like it comes out really big, and you can color correct it better. There's a lot more dynamic range. I was just messing around with that. I don't think I'm going to keep doing that though because that is
It sounds like a
very
great way to eat space and to take
yeah,
up
well,
more time.
Time mainly. Like I end up deleting all the extra footage anyway, but like the time to convert and to transfer and all that takes forever. But it does look really good.
Yeah, the videos do look excellent, which is good.
Yeah, they always do.
Oh well, stop it, gentle. But keep talking.
How's-
Your flattery will get
How's
you
your
everywhere.
carpet? Does it still sing?
Actually, no. The latest video.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I did see that one with the cookies and it doesn't sing anymore.
Yeah, well, I need to update the wheels on my chair. But maybe I won't be able to do anything, or I won't need to do anything coming up, depending on how this all ends.
Depending on how dead you are.
Yes,
This is a wild series.
it's wild. This saga is gonna end soon, and then I'm gonna probably go back. Well, some version of me anyway will go back to sort of a standard, maybe like week daily or every other day, kind of a little more old school Wheezy style. So like there won't be a big epic story happening in a little while.
So when it's just 2-minute videos every day that are named after breakfast foods.
Something like that, yes. Probably not breakfast foods. I think I'm done with that. I'm done with that.
So I think, I think you might have overused that. Not overused, but use that one up.
Yeah, I might have. I mean, I might bring it back once in a while, but like, yeah. Probably go back to like probably be more prolific here coming up. I'm just trying to figure out how to balance having a baby
you have had a
and doing all this.
child in the past. It looks like a few months. So
Yes. It's been 5 months. 5 months. But yeah, figuring it out. We just moved, and yeah, just kind of figuring out what I want to do and how I want the schedule to work. But I think it will be more prolific pretty soon.
Fair enough. We're looking forward to that.
Well, thanks. Subscribe.
Oh yeah.
How can people find you on social media?
Well, I am Wheezy Waiter on Twitter. I am Wheezy Waiter on YouTube. I am Wheezy Waiter on Facebook. I am Wheezy Waiter on Instagram.
Perks of having been around for forever is that you got all the
parallel branding.
handles.
Yeah, I'm also do a podcast with my friend Jake called Movied. We talk about movies, similar to this podcast, and a channel called an educational channel called The Good Stuff.
What is The Good Stuff?
Oh yeah,
that is. I have less to do with it these days, but friends of mine and I do videos about kind of just things we find interesting, but it's has more of a educational bent to it. It's like we've done video. We went to the Biosphere. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
We went there. We interviewed them. Figured out what they're doing. We went to Area 51.
So like Smarter Everyday type stuff.
Kind of like that. Yeah, we go on location and stuff.
That's awesome.
It's less. It's more like it's not really based on our personalities as much as Smarter Everyday, but it's kind of like that.
Cool. Well, it's good to know that you have parallel social media and you've done a whole bunch of channels and you've got an excellent podcast that I'm sure you will steal our patrons from or two.
Well, hey. Keep supporting these guys, all right? Bacon and eggs, they're good. How's that for?
I mean, like literally, like 15-year-old me is freaking out right now. I'm just gonna let you know.
15-year-old me is freaking out now too.
Yeah, 15-year-old me is actually in the closet back there.
Wow, that's really weird.
Yeah, it's double weird because the door's open. So I don't know what he's doing.
Yikes.
That's not. I'm not trying to say anything about who I was when I was 15.
Okay, all right.
In case anybody's taking a direction with that.
That's just the age I was when I did literally nothing but watch YouTube videos with my life.
I think that's all 15.
In the closet. Yeah.
No, I was in my bedroom.
Right.
But
yeah. Okay. All right.
Well, anyway, thank you everybody for listening to another episode of Bacon and Eggs this week. If you didn't figure it out, we talked about Avengers Infinity War, spoiler full and spoiler free. As always, I am Tyler Carlin. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at AmeriCarlin. That's America RLIN. And you can find my co-host here, Ethan Edgehill, at Wow Now. That's Wow Now, but the O's are zeros. And of course, we've had Wheezy Waiter this week on with us. Wonderfully talented and beautiful beauty and grace. He's Mr. United States.
Yeah, that's what people call me. Yeah.
That's what I've heard that. Yeah. Mr. Undisclosed City in the Midwest.
That's right. Wakanda, basically.
He's got a sash on that's just Mr. Somewhere.
It's been an absolute blast picking a new best movie of all time, according to the Bacon and Eggs bracket.
I'm glad to be here for this important moment. I don't think you're going to find a better movie for a while, guys.
Yeah, I have no idea what we're going to do after Star Wars.
We do The Force Awakens next week, so...
Yeah.
No idea what we're going to do after Star Wars, so we'll figure that one out and see where it lands. We might just decide to go through like a run of like the all-time best movies and watch like The Godfather.
Shawshank and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway... Thank you again for listening. Next week, we will be talking Star Wars The Force Awakens with guest Sam Jones. He's an actor out of California that Ethan and I have known for a long time. And I don't know, our artwork is by Vashaun Brandon. You can support Bacon and Eggs by going to patreon.com/baconandeggs. Or, as of right now, you can buy T-shirts. The links are in the bio or the doobly-doo or whatever is below us. I don't know.
It's the doobly-doo. It's the doobly-doo.
The doobly-doo, is that where it is everywhere?
Yes.
Well, here at Super Carlin Brothers, which is very close to my bloodline, it's the towel section. I can never keep up.
Just say doobly-doo. Just make it doobly-doo.
Doobly-doo.
Yeah, forever.
Okay. I mean, I feel like if you're giving us that permission, then I'm gonna keep doing that forever.
Please do.
I feel like we now have permission to say doobly-doo.
Yes.
Right.
Although lots of people don't know that I'm the one that started it because John Green started saying it.
Well, because he originally talked about being in your pants, in the pants section, back in Brotherhood 2.0. That so-and-so.
And he probably had to clean it up a little.
Yeah, Brotherhood 2.0 was not
his
clean.
editor probably got a hold of it. There's this scene where, like, Hank just chugs a bottle of strawberry wine.
Don't tell them we're talking about them.
I'm telling them.
Okay.
I'm already emailing them. So
Get a text message open right now.
That's fine. I mean,
you remember those Super Carlin brothers? You won't believe the podcast their brother hosts.
And they'll both respond, who?
Who?
Craig, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We
It's
really
been great.
appreciate it, and we really appreciate you guys for listening to us talk about Avengers: Infinity War. We hope you love the movie, and if you didn't, tell us why, because you're wrong. And until next week, Arrivederci.
Bye.
Avengers Infinity War.